Hacker Man. He's the most powerful hacker of all time.
What up, boys? Hope everyone's doing great. Welcome to the video. Today we got episode 2 of How To. Anyone unfamiliar with the series, it's where we go over how to get the most out of your character and play them to the best of their ability. And today we're covering Crypto, which I think is the perfect character for us to talk about right after our last video where we talked about Rev. Because Rev's kit is literally all mechanical skill related abilities, whereas Crypto is all about team support. So if you think you're a player that isn't that mechanically skilled, then Crypto would be a perfect fit for you because you can do so much for your team with just
knowledge.
So Crypto is arguably the best support in the game right now, and for good reason. With all the recent buffs to him, including the new Invis perk and the nerfs to Blood and Seer, he's found his spot at the top of the meta. Also, real quick before we get into it, if you haven't watched my last video on how to play Rev, give it a watch. I think you'll enjoy it. Thank you. Without further ado, let's get into How To Crypto. First things first with Crypto, his drone. Normally we'd go over passives first, but Crypto doesn't really have a passive, it's just his drone. So let's talk about that. Your average Crypto is just using the drone to hit beacon and EMP, maybe chuck it out here and there to check for squads, but there's actually a lot to learn if you really want to get the most out of them. Let's start with the basics of the drone. When you throw out your drone, it'll tell you how many squads are nearby, but how far does it actually scan from? It will tell you if any squads are in a 200-meter radius of where Crypto is, not where his drone is. As you can see here, Crypto's in the 200-meter radius. When I pull out my drone, it shows one squad, but when Crypto's out of the 200-meter radius, but the drone is still in, it says no squads, so keep that in mind. It's the same rule as well for if you enter the drone when it's already thrown out. It scans from where Crypto is standing, not where the drone is. 200 meters is actually a pretty large radius. This is what it looks like if you were to have a 200-meter wide circle on your map. It's quite a big zone. Throwing out the drone and checking for squads is something you should be doing almost all the time. Try to build some muscle memory when you're just running around and throw it out. Pull it in, throw it out, pull it in, all the time. Then you will know as soon as someone enters that 200-meter radius. But once you have squads detected nearby, you should be more careful about just throwing it out until you find them because it's a very loud sound effect and you could give away your position and give the enemies a chance to rat attack you. Let's take a second and look at all the sound cues that are important to know for fighting Crypto. This is what it sounds like when Crypto enters his drone with the Invis perk.
One squad in the area. We have the...
And exiting. And this is what it sounds like when Crypto enters his drone without the Invis perk.
좋아. There are no squads near us.
And exiting. You'll notice that there's no audio for Crypto entering his drone without Invis, but all the other audios are the same. Knowing that there's no sound cue for when he enters without Invis isn't that important to know since 99% of Cryptos are running Invis anyways, and you're more likely to see or hear his drone first. This is the sound the drone makes when Crypto enters or exits it. There, exit your drone. And enter it.
One squad in the area. We have to drop.
Exit it again. Enter it again.
One squad in the area. We have to drop.
I sat here for the longest time listening back to this over and over to try to see if it was a different sound cue for when he enters or exits and just couldn't figure it out. If anyone knows, let me know down in the comments. Either way, if you hear this sound effect, it means Crypto spawned, entered, or exited his drone. So let's talk a little bit more about the Invis. The whole time you're Invis, there's actually a fairly loud audio effect that goes off constantly and can be heard from a decent distance away. It's very faint, but you can still hear the audio all the way from over here. It's probably about 15-20 meters away. But if the storm is moving in and you're next to it while Invis, then the audio of the storm closing will actually mask the sound of you being Invis. 100%. Good drone in. I think he's hiding his drone.
One sec, healing up.
We'll swap up here, by the way.
Hammy's good looking.
Snooping for this Invis crypto, bro. There he is. Right here, we got it. We heard him enter his drone and seen him fly it away, so we knew he'd be Invis ratting here somewhere. And this clip happened right after I filmed the constant Invis noise clip, so I was purposefully listening for his audio of being Invis here and didn't hear it. You might have noticed in the earlier Invis clip, this little keypad thingy floating in the air. This pops up on Crypto when he's Invis, so there's also a visual indicator of where he's standing. So if you're the last man standing just trying to rat it out, it actually does make a difference if you face the corner you are in rather than facing outward. Yeah, it's better to face outward if you get found, so you're already facing them to shoot, but if you get found while Invis ratting, you're just dead anyway, so you might as well try to hide it best you can. Here we got a fight at Zeus Station. Teammate gets knocked. I try to trade the knock, but it's a bit windy, so I rotate to high ground. I try to get my other teammate to come with me, but he's too deep in there already, so it's time for a rat play. Jump in the corner, throw out the drone, and face the corner at the same time to cover the keypad thingy. I try to just hide the drone while I'm Invis and hope they just leave so I can grab banner, but they're geniuses and find my drone, so I just go in for the banners anyway. I pop out the drone here, and I think the storm audio actually covered my exit, or this guy's got his headset on backwards, because this guy had no idea. Get the knock, slip out of there while his teammates are resing him, hit the balloon, res the boys, and hit the beacon. Another really useful thing to know with Crypto is that you can heal while droning. In order to do this, you have to throw out your drone and hold the input to enter it. And as soon as you see the particles of entering the drone screen, you hit your bat or your med kit and it will actually pop the bat while you're flying around in the drone. Now this is obviously super useful because you can heal while still pressuring the enemy with your drone and getting info on them. Another thing you can factor in is sliding downhill while entering drone to keep moving and droning at the same time. This is really only doable if you're picking the Invis perk on Crypto, but let's be honest, you already should be picking that every game on Crypto anyways. His other perk is actually pretty decent, but not nearly as useful as the Invis perk. The safety it gives you is just so nice to have. So if you can get used to it, you can actually slide downhill, bat, and drone all at the same time. When you're sliding downhill Invis in your drone, there is a little dust trail that shows up to show the enemies where you are, but it's actually so hard to see in a lot of scenarios. So usually people won't know where you slid to either. Like, look at this clip. I bet some of you guys lost track of him sliding down the hill. Here's a good example of how this is actually useful in game. I'm sliding downhill while droning at the same time, getting closer to my team, and hitting the beacon at the same time. Crypto is definitely the highest APM character in Apex and takes quite the crackhead brain to use all his tools all the time, but he's so good once you get used to it. Another quick note on the drone is that whenever Crypto's in drone, actually both his weapons will auto reload while you're droning. I haven't had this actually change the outcome of any situation yet, so it's not the biggest thing, but it's still nice to know and keep in the back of your mind while you're playing. Next thing with his drone isn't instantly hitting beacons, like especially on drop. If you're dropping uncontested, first thing I like to do is set my drone up right next to the beacon, ready to hit it, and just hop in and out of my drone, scanning for teams in the radius. And as soon as you see a team pop up, you can just hit the beacon then. Or if a team just never pops up on your scan and you're leaving your POI, then you can just hit the beacon real quick as you're leaving. And his drone makes it so easy to get info on the whole map with the beacons. You can just cruise through the whole map while hitting almost every beacon for free info and Evo. And just like the pop-out scan range of his drone, the radius that it can fly away from Crypto is also 200 meters. So while you're running around the map, you can ping survey beacons on your map, walk to them until they're a little less than 200 meters, like 190 just to be safe. Hop in your drone, hit the beacon, keep moving wherever you want to go. And having a Crypto on your team makes it a little bit more flexible to not have support. It's obviously still nice to have the support, but as Crypto, if your team is losing a fight or someone gets insta-knocked on your team, if you can run away as Crypto, wait a little bit and then snag banner with the drone. Can definitely be tough to pull off, especially with all the movement characters being played right now, but I mean, sometimes you can pull it off as a last-ditch effort to get your teammates back. And if you do manage to get the banners, you can also res them safely with a drone. Remember, you can ping the respawn beacons too to get about 190 meters away from them if you need to, and then just hit the beacon with your drone to res your teammates. Also, it's pretty risky to do and usually doesn't work out that well, but if you're stuck as a one-man crew and need to just hide somewhere, get to a decent spot where you don't think people will just walk on you and just sit there invis with your drone. You can just hide your drone somewhere else that no one's going to see it, like up in the sky or in a tree in a building somewhere. It is super loud and easy to see, but sometimes it works. Now that we've finally gotten through all the out-of-combat tech to know, let's talk about in-combat tips. We're going to start with just his drone. No EMP just yet. We'll get to that soon. For now, let's just talk about the drone. So if you know you're going to be going into a fight, once you get close, you can fly your drone in. You don't just be flying your drone around, hitting the evasive maneuvers, pinging kids for your team to go open and damage on them. Once they get some cracks or some pokins going on, you can recall your drone and start to get in there yourself. You want to be chucking out your drone and recalling it ASAP to throw off your enemies and get some quick pings on them to make the fight easier. I've also noticed if you throw it outside of a building, sometimes it will show people inside the building for a split second, but just long enough for you to know exactly where they are. The drone in general is very hard to master when you should and shouldn't be in it. A lot of times you'll see cryptos just flying around in the drone while their team is fighting, and that team will lose the fight because the crypto wasn't there and was just playing flight simulator while his team is getting fried. You really just have to have good fight knowledge and know when a fight is just poking or when it's about to be an actual fight, and try to not be in your drone when it's the actual fight part. Let's take a look at some clips to get more of a feel for what I'm talking about. First clip is real simple. I threw the drone out expecting someone to climb up and meet me, and surprise. Seen him on the drone, free him to climb up. He's dead. Easy fight. This next one is a perfect example of droning before the fight. Here we have a contest at Lightning Rod. I'm flying the drone around, giving info for our rev that's challenging them. Notice how I'm not constantly keeping the drone in the enemy's line of sight. I'm giving pings for just a second so our rev knows where they are and then hiding my drone. This makes it so 1, my drone doesn't get broken, and 2, the enemy will be drawing their attention away from our rev to try to shoot my drone. So my rev has a better chance of getting good damage on them, which he does here. He gets a knock, I instantly start walking up, he gets another knock. Last guy tries to escape using the cannon. But we chase him down and get the squad wipe. This one is great. We get a knock on this guy in the fuse ult. Crack this other guy in the lane. I throw out my drone just to see if he repeats or if their third guy shows up, and I actually scanned the third guy in this house I'm in. I run right up there for him, but he runs away. But my drone still has him pinged here, and I see him wrapping around the other side of the house. I run right down there after my medkit and get the knock on the second. I take a bit too much damage killing the third, and well, GG's only. This clip is a great example of why you should be throwing out your drone often. This dude is trying to snatch this Evo, but didn't know we were here, so we take that free kill. I throw out my drone to check for his buddies and catch a glimpse of him dropping off the height, so I know it's safe to climb up here. Seen him run around the corner, so I throw my drone again and catch another glimpse of him, so I know he's not waiting for me and it's safe to push up. Fly right up, he's not even looking at us, easy peasy. Before we get into our final topic, let's take a quick detour. There's a lot of situations where you're held up inside a building in Apex, and if you're worried about a team pushing the building you're holding in, then you can set up your drone to cover an entrance or spot them outside your building. But you have to be careful and aware with how you set up your drone, because it's very easy to mess it up. As you can see here, if I bonk my drone off this wall, my drone will actually face towards me and not outside the window, which is obviously bad. So you can either A, throw it at the ground close to the window, or B, back up far enough away that the drone stops in front of the window and doesn't bonk off of it. You might have noticed I still wasn't scanning the Loa through the door, and that's because these doors actually just don't let the drone see through them at all unless it's looking through a very specific spot of it. So just keep that in the back of your mind next time you're held up in a building. And finally, for the last piece of Crypto's kit, his ult, the EMP. Now with Crypto's ult, it's really helpful to have comms with your team. Really, his whole kit is better when you have comms with your team, but especially his ult. You can call that you plan on EMPing, your team can get in position to dive on it, hit the EMP, team swings in, boom, squad wipe. Or, what happens most of the time if you don't have coordination with your team, is you'll EMP while your team isn't ready, the enemy will just bat, and it essentially just becomes a bloodhound scan. EMP is only useful if your team is ready to capitalize on it. Otherwise, it's almost useless. And if you are the Crypto's teammates waiting to go in off the EMP, make sure it actually goes off before you fully commit. A lot of times the EMP will be like 90% charged and the drone will get destroyed. Teammates will go in expecting the EMP and get fried for it. Also helpful to be able to comm as the Crypto if they got your drone mid-EMP. Your team can then pull back and wait a bit for your drone to come back so you can EMP again, or just fight it like normal. This first clip is a great example of a perfect EMP. Just gonna let this one play out with no added commentary. We gotta walk up to this box here. I must have drone again. I'm hitting optic cells, hold up. Just live, I'm hitting optic cells, bro. Break that drone, break that drone. Three seconds, I'm gonna EMP in 3 seconds here, Gertie. All of them. Push left side, kill this kid. One dead. Crypto dead. 1 HP on Crypto, nice. Nice, let's freaking go, dude. I gotta admit, this next clip was pretty blast, but either way, this is a perfectly timed push off the EMP. Exactly as it went off, his health bar disappeared. This next one really shows when is a good time to EMP. We were poking at a team on the top of Beast, and I hit a pretty solid nade on one of them. It did enough damage that I knew he would be batting. And if you ever know for sure that someone's going to be batting, then it's usually a great time to EMP because they'll be stuck in their bat and they can't shoot your drone or move out of the EMP. So I hit the EMP, it's absolutely juiced. We smoke them, GG's only. EMP is so powerful when you use it right. We were trying to hold this team out of Storm, but they slam us and we take a bunch of damage. My plan here actually was to EMP them just to slow them down so my teammates could heal up, but one of them gets knocked. I see that one of the enemies is separated from my EMP and the other two are healing, so I push him and get the knock. Now we got a 2v2. The other two push us. I get a bunch of damage on him, but I have to reload. We trade knocks again, and now it's a 1v1. But he's already too weak at this point, and it's an easy win. And that is it for our second episode of How To. Let me know what you thought of it and what character you'd like to see next. Also, I'm live almost every single day on Twitch at Shish Kebab. Pop in sometime. Hit that like if you liked the video, hit that sub, and we'll see y'all in the next one.